The wine smelled wrong. After 20 years of marriage, I knew that scent by heart. Napa Valley Cabernet, our tradition, our ritual. But tonight, on my 44th birthday, something bitter hid beneath the familiar notes. I looked at my husband across the candlelit table. He smiled at me, the same smile I had loved for 2 decades. "Switch glasses with me," I said. He hesitated, just for a second. But I saw it. And when he drank from my glass, everything changed. Before I continue, if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel and follow my story to the very end. Drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far my story has traveled. Now let me tell you everything from the beginning. I woke up to the soft press of Derek's lips on my cheek. He was already dressed. Navy suit, silver tie, the cologne I had bought him 3 years ago for our anniversary. He never changed it once he found something he liked. That was Derek. Loyal to his choices. Steady, reliable, or so I believed. "I'm sorry, Mary." His voice was low, apologetic. "They moved the board meeting to 9. I have to go now, but tonight is ours, I promise." I reached up and touched his face, the familiar stubble, the jaw I had kissed 1,000 times. "It's fine. Work is work." "No." He caught my hand, pressed it against his cheek. "It's your birthday. Your 44th. I'm going to make it special. Dinner at 7. Your favorite dish. Our wine." Our wine. The words warmed something inside me. "I'll be here," I said. He kissed me again, this time on the lips, and then he was gone. The front door clicked shut, and I lay there in the gray Chicago morning light, staring at the ceiling of our Lincoln Park apartment. 44 years old, not a milestone, not a round number. But Derek had never forgotten my birthday in 20 years, not once. He always made me feel seen, cherished, loved. I got up slowly, my joints protesting the way they do when you're no longer young, but not yet old. The mirror in the bathroom showed me a woman I sometimes didn't recognize, fine lines around the eyes, gray at the temples despite the careful coloring every 6 weeks, but still me. Still Meredith Collins, senior underwriter at one of Chicago's biggest insurance firms. Still standing. We couldn't have children. Derek and I had tried for years. The tests, the treatments, the monthly disappointments that became yearly grief, that eventually became acceptance. Sometimes I wondered if that was why we were still so close after 2 decades, just the two of us against the world, our own small fortress. I made coffee strong and black the way I liked it. Through the kitchen window, Lake Michigan stretched out gray and endless. We had bought this apartment 12 years ago when the market crashed and prices dropped. My money, mostly. The inheritance from my father. But we put both our names on it because that's what married couples do. At least that's what I thought. The office was the usual chaos. Quarterly reports due, claims to process, meetings that could have been emails, but Jazz found me at lunch with a cupcake and a single candle. Make-A-Wish birthday girl. Jasmine Patterson, my best friend since Northwestern. She had gone into law while I went into insurance, but we stayed close through everything. Marriages, divorces, hers, twice, career changes, life changes. She knew me better than anyone except Derek. I blew out the candle. "What did you wish for? If I tell you, it won't come true." Jazz laughed, but her eyes were studying me. She had that lawyer look, the one that said she was gathering evidence. "You seem distracted. Everything okay with Derek?" "Everything's fine. He's making dinner tonight, the whole romantic thing." After 20 years, that man still tries. He does. Jazz shook her head. "Hold on to that one, Mary. Men like that are rare." I smiled, but something flickered in my chest, a shadow I couldn't name. The truth was, Derek had been different lately. The past 6 months, maybe longer. He came home later. He was quieter at dinner. He had set a new password on his phone, something he never used to do. Little things. Easy to dismiss. Easy to explain away, but they added up. I pushed the thoughts aside. It was my birthday. My husband was waiting at home to celebrate. I wasn't going to ruin it with paranoid fantasies. I left work at 5:30 earlier than usual. The L train was packed with commuters, all of us swaying together in that strange intimacy of public transit. I thought about Derek in the kitchen, preparing something special. I thought about the wine we would open, our tradition. We had started it on our first anniversary, a random pick from Binny's, Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon Reserve. We loved it so much we made it a ritual. Every birthday, every anniversary, every New Year's Eve, the same wine, the same label, the same taste that meant celebration, meant us, meant home. 20 years of that wine, 20 years of that tradition. The apartment smelled like heaven when I walked in. Salmon, dill, lemon, Derek's specialty. Mary. His voice came from the kitchen, warm and eager. You're home. Perfect timing. Go change into something beautiful. I'm almost done. I went to the bedroom. The blue dress, the one he always said made my eyes look like the lake on a summer day. I touched up my makeup, let my hair down. In the mirror, I saw a woman who was loved, a woman who had built a good life. I didn't see what was coming. The dining room took my breath away. Candles everywhere. White tablecloth. The good china we only used for special occasions. And there at the center of the table, the familiar bottle. Our wine. Derek stood by his chair, beaming. Happy birthday, Mary. I walked to him and he pulled me into his arms. For a moment I just breathed him in, the cologne, the warmth, the solid reality of him. This is beautiful, I whispered. You deserve beautiful. We sat down. The salmon was perfect, pink and flaky, exactly the way I liked it. The salad was crisp. The conversation flowed easily the way it does between people who have known each other for decades. But something nagged at me. A tension in Derek's shoulders. A brightness in his eyes that seemed almost forced. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself to enjoy the evening. Then he opened the wine. The cork came out with that familiar pop. He poured 2 glasses, placed mine in front of me, his across the table. To you, Mary. He raised his glass. To the woman who has been my partner, my best friend, my everything for 20 years. I don't deserve you. I never have. But I'm grateful every single day that you chose me. My eyes stung. Tears of happiness, I thought. Tears of gratitude for this man, this life, this moment. We clinked glasses. I brought the wine to my lips and stopped. The smell, something in the smell. I knew this wine like I knew my own heartbeat. Cherry notes, oak, a hint of spice. I had smelled it dozens of times, maybe hundreds. It was as familiar as Derek's cologne, as the lake outside our window, as the sound of his voice saying my name. But tonight there was something else. Something underneath. Bitter. Chemical. Almost medicinal. Faint. So faint, I almost convinced myself I was imagining it. Almost. I looked at Derek. He had already taken a sip from his glass. He was watching me, waiting for me to drink. Something wrong? He asked. I brought the glass to my nose again, inhaled deeply. The strange scent was still there, hiding beneath the familiar. The wine, I said slowly. It smells different. Derek frowned. He picked up his own glass, sniffed it. Seems fine to me. Same as always. No, there's something. Do you have a cold? Maybe your nose is off? My nose is fine. I kept my voice steady, but my heart was starting to race. Where did you buy this? Binny's. Same place we always get it. He took another sip, swallowed easily. Maybe it's a different vintage, though the label says the same year. I watched his throat move as he swallowed. If something was wrong with the wine, he would have noticed. He would have told me, unless the problem wasn't with the wine, unless the problem was with my glass. The thought hit me like a physical blow. Only my glass. Not the wine itself, not both glasses, just mine. I looked toward the kitchen. Derek had poured the wine here in the dining room. I had seen him do it, but the glasses had been in the kitchen before. He could have prepared them earlier. He could have added something to one of them. No! That was insane. That was paranoid. That was the kind of thing that happened in movies, not in real life, not in a 20-year marriage, not with Derek. But I couldn't shake it. The smell, the wrongness. Every instinct I had was screaming at me. Derek! I kept my voice light, casual. I think I grabbed your glass by mistake. Let's switch." It was a lie. I knew exactly which glass he had placed in front of me. But I needed to know. I needed to be sure. Derek looked at me. "You sure? I'm pretty certain we each have our own." "No, I definitely mixed them up. Here." I held out my glass, reaching for his. For a fraction of a second, something crossed his face, something I couldn't identify. Surprise, fear, irritation, or maybe nothing. Maybe I was seeing things that weren't there. "All right." He shrugged, took my glass, gave me his. I raised his glass to my nose and inhaled. Wine. Just wine. Rich and familiar, and exactly right. My heart started pounding. I hadn't imagined it. There was something in my glass, something that wasn't in his. Derek lifted my glass, the one that was now his, and took a long sip. He swallowed, smiled at me. "See, perfect. Our usual wine." I drank from his glass. It tasted exactly the way it always did. No bitterness, no chemical undertone, just the Cabernet we had loved for 20 years. We continued dinner, the salmon, the salad, the conversation about nothing important. Derek told me about a project at work, something about a new client. I nodded in the right places, asked the right questions. But I was watching him, every movement, every gesture, how often he drank, how he held the glass, whether his expression changed. 10 minutes passed, maybe 15. Derek was telling me a story about a new architect at his firm, someone who was always late. I pretended to listen, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. And then he stopped mid-sentence, just stopped, like someone had pressed pause. I looked up. His face had gone pale. Sweat was beading on his forehead. "Derek." He pressed a hand to his temple. "I don't know, I feel strange. Dizzy." I pushed back my chair, went to him. His skin was clammy cold. His eyes weren't focusing properly. "Derek, what's wrong? What do you feel?" "Nausea." His voice was thick, slurred, spinning, and pressure in my chest, like something squeezing. My God, the wine. Whatever was in my glass, he had drunk it. He had drunk the poison meant for me. "I'm calling an ambulance." "No, it's probably just something I ate." "Derek, you're white as a sheet. You're getting worse." I was already pulling out my phone, dialing 911. The operator answered. I explained the situation. My husband, sudden illness, dizziness, nausea, chest pain, possible poisoning. That word hung in the air between us as I hung up. Poisoning. Derek was staring at me, his eyes wide, despite the obvious pain. Poisoning from what we ate, the same thing. We had eaten the same thing, but we had drunk from different glasses. Glasses we had switched. "Derek." I knelt beside him, took his cold, clammy hand in mine. "Did you put something in my wine?" He looked at me like I had spoken in a foreign language. What are you talking about?" "In my wine, in my glass. Did you put something in it?" "Mary, what are you saying? Why would I put something in your wine?" "I don't know. That's what I'm trying to understand." His face crumpled. Not with guilt, with something that looked horribly like hurt. "You think I tried to poison you, Mary? How can you even think that I love you? I would never hurt you." Then he doubled over and vomited onto the floor. I held him while his body convulsed. When it was over, he slumped back against the chair, exhausted, his face wet with sweat and tears. "I'm sorry," he rasped. "Don't be ridiculous. The ambulance is coming." But would everything be all right? I looked at my husband, this man I had lived with for 20 years, and realized I didn't know him. Not at all. Because if he had really tried to poison me, if he had really put something in my wine, then who was he? Who had I been sleeping next to all these years? The paramedics arrived 15 minutes later, 2 of them professional and efficient. They examined Derek, checked his vitals, asked questions he could barely answer. What has he had to eat and drink today? Fish, salad, wine, red wine. The alcohol could have intensified whatever reaction he's having. We need to take him in. They lifted him onto the stretcher. I grabbed my purse, my keys, my phone. At the door, I turned back and looked at the dining room. The candles had burned low, the salmon was cold on our plates, and the 2 wine glasses sat on the table nearly empty. The glasses. I needed to save them. "Wait," I told the paramedics. "1 minute." "Alrighty." I went back to the table, carefully picked up both glasses, and brought them to the kitchen. I found 2 large Ziploc bags, the kind I used for storing food. I poured the remaining wine from each glass into separate bags and labeled them, mine and Derek's. Then I sealed them and put them in the refrigerator. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe none of this meant anything. But something inside me said these samples could be the key to understanding what had happened tonight. At the hospital, everything blurred together. Bright lights, people in white coats, questions and forms and blood tests. They took Derek to the intensive care unit, and I was left in a hallway sitting on a hard plastic chair, clutching my phone, and feeling reality slip through my fingers. It was my birthday. It was supposed to be special. Instead, I was sitting in a hospital, not knowing if my husband would survive, not knowing if he had tried to kill me. I tried to remember the last few months. Had there been anything unusual? Any sign I had missed or ignored? Derek had been different, more distant, more preoccupied. He worked late almost every night now, said there was a big project. I believed him because why wouldn't I? We had a good marriage. We trusted each other, or I trusted him. His phone. Lately, he never let it out of his sight. Before, he would leave it anywhere, charging in the kitchen, on the coffee table, in his coat pocket. But now it was always with him, even when he showered. And the new password. We used to know each other's passwords. It was natural, normal. But a few months ago, he changed his, and when I asked, he said it was for work security. I didn't push. Maybe I should have. An hour passed. Then 2. The fluorescent lights hummed above me. A nurse walked by, her shoes squeaking on the linoleum floor. Finally, a doctor came out. Young, tired, but alert. Family of Meredith Collins. I stood. I'm his wife. How is he? Your husband is stable. We pumped his stomach, started IV fluids, ran blood and urine tests. The doctor paused, and something in his expression made my stomach drop. The preliminary results show a significant concentration of barbiturates in his system. Barbiturates, sedatives, sleeping pills. In high doses, they can be fatal. They cause respiratory depression, loss of consciousness, coma. Your husband was lucky we acted quickly. Barbiturates, sleeping pills, in the wine I was supposed to drink. How could they have gotten into his system? The doctor was studying me now. Does your husband take any sleep medication? No, he's never had trouble sleeping. Then someone must have given them to him without his knowledge. I met the doctor's eyes. I think someone put them in his wine, or rather in my wine. But we switched glasses. The doctor's expression shifted. You suspect intentional poisoning. I don't know what I suspect. But yes, maybe. We'll need to contact the police. This could be a criminal matter. Criminal matter. Police, investigation. This was real. This was actually happening. Can I see him? Yes, but only briefly. He needs rest. Derek was in a room filled with monitors and IV drips. He looked smaller, somehow diminished, not the confident man who had kissed me goodbye this morning. His skin was still pale, but his breathing was steady. I sat beside the bed, took his hand. It was warm now, alive. The tears I had been holding back finally came. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry I thought you could have done this. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it. The questions were still there, still unanswered. Who had put barbiturates in my wine? Why Derek opened his eyes. Through the oxygen mask, I could see confusion, fear, relief. Mary. His voice was weak. What happened? You were poisoned. They found sleeping pills in your blood, a lot of them. He blinked, trying to process. But how I didn't take any sleeping pills? I know. Someone put them in the wine, in my wine. But we switched glasses, remember, and you drank from mine. The realization dawned slowly in his clouded eyes. I watched horror spread across his face. Someone tried to poison you, he whispered. Who? Why? I don't know, Derek. I have no idea. But even as I spoke, I was thinking about who had access to the glasses. Who could have put something in them? The only answer that made sense was the one I couldn't accept. Derek. He had been home before me. He had prepared dinner set. The table poured the wine. No one else had been there. If he was innocent, then who? A nurse came in, checked the monitors, told me I should go home and rest. I kissed Derek's forehead, promised to come back in the morning, and walked out into the cold Chicago night. The apartment was dark when I got home. The candles had burned themselves out. The food was still on the table untouched since we left. I cleaned up mechanically, scraped the plates, wrapped the leftovers, wiped down the counters. When I picked up the wine bottle, I noticed something. A small smudge on the label, near the edge, like it had been peeled back and re-glued. I held the bottle up to the light. Yes, the label was definitely damaged, subtle, almost invisible, but there if you looked closely. Someone had opened this bottle before Derek brought it home. They had added something, then resealed it and re-glued the label. But who and where? At the store, at home. Somewhere in between, I called Binny's. Somehow someone was still there despite the hour. My husband bought a bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet today. Around what time? The clerk checked the records. 5 o'clock. He paid by card. 5 o'clock. I got home at 6. 1 hour between purchase and my arrival. In that hour, Derek would have driven from Binny's to our apartment. 20 minutes in Chicago traffic. Then he started cooking. When did he have time to open the bottle, add poison, and reseal it? Unless he had done it beforehand. Unless he had bought an identical bottle earlier, prepared it, and brought it home yesterday. But then where was yesterday's bottle? And why was the damaged label on this one? The questions multiplied. The answers refused to come. I sat on the couch, head in my hands. My thoughts were chaos. On one hand, all evidence pointed to Derek. Only he had access. Only he could have done it. On the other hand, it made no sense. Why would he want me dead? We had no major problems in our marriage. No reason for something so extreme. Or did we? Insurance. The word popped into my head unbidden. 6 months ago, Derek had insisted we take out substantial life insurance policies on each other. He said it was the sensible thing. Protection, in case something happened. I agreed without thinking. It seemed reasonable, but now, in light of everything, it took on a different meaning. If I died, Derek would receive $750,000, enough to start a completely new life. I sat in the dark apartment, staring at nothing, thinking about the man I had married 20 years ago. The man who had held me, kissed me, told me he loved me. The man who might have tried to kill me. My phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Meredith Collins. Yes. This is Detective Marcus Webb. I'm investigating your husband's poisoning. The hospital informed us of the situation. I need to ask you some questions. Can you come to the station tomorrow morning? Yes. What time? 10 o'clock. I'll be there. Good. And Mrs. Collins, don't destroy any evidence. The wine, the glasses, the bottle. We'll need all of it. I saved samples from both glasses. They're in my refrigerator. Smart thinking. We'll see you tomorrow. He hung up, and I sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling completely lost. Tomorrow, I would have to give a statement, tell the police what happened, tell them I suspected my own husband of trying to murder me. But was that the truth? Or was I losing my mind from stress and inventing monsters where there were none? I didn't know anymore. I didn't know anything. I went to bed, but sleep wouldn't come. The space beside me was empty. Cold wrong. I lay there staring into the darkness, thinking about the past 20 years. Our first meeting at a mutual friend's party. Derek was charming, funny, impossibly handsome. We talked all night. He told me about his dream of building something beautiful. I told him about my cautious, methodical approach to risk. We were so different, but so alike. Both perfectionists, both ambitious, both a little lonely. When he proposed 6 months later, I said yes without hesitation. He was the man I wanted to spend my life with. And now, 20 years later, I was lying in bed, wondering if that man had tried to kill me. Morning came too soon. I showered, dressed, drank coffee I couldn't taste. The woman in the mirror looked 10 years older than yesterday. At the police station, Detective Webb was waiting. A man in his 50s, gray eyes face that had seen too much. "Tell me everything," he said. "From the beginning, don't leave anything out." So I told him. The birthday dinner, the wine, the strange smell, the switching of glasses, Derek's collapse, the barbiturates, the damaged label, the insurance policies. When I finished, Webb was quiet for a long moment. "Do you have reason to believe your husband wanted to harm you?" "I don't know. Logic says yes. Everything points to him, but my heart says it's impossible. We've been together 20 years. Good years." "Money is usually a reason," Webb said. "You mentioned substantial insurance. How much exactly?" $750,000 each. If I die, Derek gets $750, vice versa. Webb nodded, writing in his notebook. "That's considerable, enough to motivate some people." "But he drank the poisoned wine himself. Why would he do that if he was the one who poisoned it?" "Maybe he didn't expect you to switch glasses. Maybe he panicked and couldn't refuse without giving himself away." Webb looked at me steadily. "Or maybe he planned it that way. Drink a smaller dose, survive, appear innocent." The theory seemed too complicated, too risky. But was Derek capable of it? "We're going to investigate," Webb continued. "His finances, his phone, his computer. If he planned this, we'll find evidence. People always leave traces." I nodded, feeling something inside me crack. And if it wasn't him, then we find who it was. Someone with access to your home, to your wine. I thought about that. Our apartment was on the 6th floor. The door was always locked. We didn't have a cleaning service. Who could have gotten in unless someone had a key? Who has keys to your apartment besides you and your husband? No one. Well, Jazz had a copy years ago in case of emergency, but she gave them back when she moved across town. "Are you certain she returned them?" I opened my mouth to say yes. Of course, Jazz would never do anything to hurt me, but the words stuck in my throat. Was I certain? Was I certain of anything anymore? "In a criminal investigation," Webb said gently, "no one can be ruled out, not even the closest people. Sometimes they're exactly the ones with access, opportunity, and motive." I left the station an hour later with his words echoing in my head. No one could be ruled out. Not Derek, not Jazz, not anyone. I walked through the Chicago streets, surrounded by people living their normal lives, and I felt like I was drowning. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. My marriage, my husband, my life. Someone had tried to kill me, and I had no idea who. I went to the hospital straight from the police station. Derek looked better than yesterday. Color had returned to his face. His eyes were clear-focused. He was sitting up in bed flipping through a magazine when I walked in. "Mary." His face lit up. "I was hoping you'd come." I sat in the chair beside his bed studying him, looking for something, guilt maybe, deception. But I only saw the familiar face of the man I had loved for 20 years. "How are you feeling?" "Better, much better. The doctors say if my tests come back okay, they'll discharge me tomorrow." "That's good." Silence settled between us, strange, awkward, the kind of silence that had never existed in our marriage before. "Mary." Derek reached for my hand. "I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. Here it was, the confession. He was going to admit he tried to kill me, or that he was having an affair, or both. "What?" He looked down at our joined hands. "These past 6 months I've been lying to you about a lot of things, and I'm so ashamed." I waited. The monitors beeped steadily in the background. "I lost my job 4 months ago." The words hung in the air. I stared at him, unable to speak. "They laid me off from the firm. Downsizing, they said. They had to let go of the more expensive senior architects. They gave me a severance package and asked me to leave." 4 months ago. "Yes." "And you didn't tell me," Derek's voice cracked, "because I was embarrassed, because I was afraid you would be disappointed in me, because I thought I would find another job quickly and you would never have to know." "But you didn't find one." "No, I tried. I sent out resumes, went to interviews, but the market is brutal right now. Everyone wants young architects who will work for less money, And I'm 47. For a lot of firms, that's too old. I pulled my hand away from his. So every evening for 4 months you came home and told me made-up stories about work, about projects, about meetings? Yes. Where were you going? What were you doing all day? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Looking for work, networking, sending applications. And the money. What have we been living on? My salary doesn't cover all our expenses. Derek hesitated, and I knew another confession was coming. I took out a loan, a big one. I told the bank it was for apartment renovations. I used the apartment as collateral. My apartment. The one I had bought with my inheritance. The one we had put in both our names because that's what married couples do. How much? $60,000. I closed my eyes. $60,000 in debt. Our home as collateral. A home we could now lose if we couldn't pay. And how exactly were you planning to pay it back, Derek, if you don't have a job? I thought I would find something. I hoped everything would work out. And when you realized it wouldn't, what then? What was your plan? The question came out harsher than I intended, or maybe exactly as harsh as I intended. Derek looked at me, and I saw understanding dawn in his eyes, understanding of what I was really asking. You think I tried to kill you for the insurance money? I don't know what to think anymore. Mary. His voice broke. Yes, I lied. Yes, I'm a coward who couldn't tell his wife he lost his job. Yes, I took out a loan you didn't know about. But killing you? That's insane. I would rather die than hurt you. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But trust once broken doesn't mend easily. If it wasn't you, then who put barbiturates in my wine? Who wanted me dead? I don't know, but I swear to you, Mary, I swear on everything I hold sacred, it wasn't me. We sat in silence for a long moment. The monitors beeped. Somewhere down the hall, a phone was ringing. There's something else, I said finally. The police are investigating. They're going to look at your finances, your phone, your computer. If you're hiding anything else, they'll find it. Let them investigate. I have nothing to hide, not anymore. I stood up. I need time, Derek. Time to think. Time to process all of this. I understand. Take all the time you need. I walked to the door, then turned back. When you're discharged, maybe you should stay somewhere else for a while. A friend's place. A hotel. I need space. The pain in his eyes almost made me take it back. Almost. Okay, he said quietly. Whatever you need. I left the hospital with more questions than answers. Derek had lied to me about his job, about money, about everything. But had he really tried to kill me? Or was there someone else? The next morning, I sat down at my computer and started digging into our finances. I needed to understand what Derek had done, how deep the hole was. The loan was real. $60,000 taken out 4 months ago. A considerable amount was being deducted from our account each month to pay it back. Then I looked at Derek's credit card statements, and something caught my eye. Regular charges at the same coffee shop, almost daily for the past 4 months, a place called The Daily Grind in River North, nowhere near our apartment, nowhere near his old office. What was he doing there every day? Who was he meeting? I put on my coat, grabbed my keys, and headed downtown. The Daily Grind was a trendy place with exposed brick and industrial lighting, the kind of spot where architects and designers like to hang out. I walked up to the counter where a young barista with blue hair was wiping down the espresso machine. Hi, can I ask you a few questions? She looked up mildly curious. Sure. I pulled out my phone, showed her a picture of Derek. Do you recognize this man? Does he come here often? Her face immediately brightened. Oh yeah, Derek, he's a regular. Comes in almost every day. Super nice guy. Good tipper. She paused, studying me. You are his wife. Oh. Her expression shifted. Something flickered in her eyes. I didn't know he was married. He never mentioned it. Interesting. Derek came here every day but never mentioned he was married. Does he always come alone, or does he meet someone here? The barista hesitated. I could see her weighing what to tell me. Please, I said. It's important. He usually comes with a woman. They sit at that table by the window. She pointed to a cozy corner overlooking the street. They talk for hours, laugh a lot. I always assumed they were a couple. A woman. Derek was meeting a woman here, regularly, for months. Can you describe her? Around your age, maybe a little younger. Dark hair, kind of a stylish bob cut. Always dressed really nice like business professional. Pretty. Do you know her name? No, sorry. But we have security cameras. I could show you the footage if you want. She led me to a small back office where a monitor displayed the cafe's interior. She rewound to yesterday around 2 in the afternoon. And there they were. Derek and a woman sitting at the window table, heads close together, hands nearly touching on the table, smiling, laughing. They looked comfortable with each other, intimate. She was exactly as the barista described. Dark bobbed hair, elegant clothes, beautiful in a polished professional way. Can you take screenshots? Sure. She captured several images and sent them to my phone. I thanked her and left my mind racing. Derek was having an affair. That's why he had lied about his job, not just because he was embarrassed, because he was spending his days with another woman. But was she involved in the poisoning? Did she know Derek was married? Did she want me out of the way? I needed to find her, talk to her, get answers. Back home, I went through Derek's social media looking for any connection to the woman in the photos, and I found her in an old company party picture from 1.5 years ago. The caption read, "The best architecture team in Chicago." She was in the background smiling. I cross-referenced the names tagged in the photo with Derek's friends list, and there she was. Victoria Ashford, 38 years old, interior architect. Her profile was semi-private, but I could see enough. The same woman from the coffee shop. I sent her a message. "Hello, Victoria. My name is Meredith Collins. I'm Derek's wife. I need to talk to you. It's urgent." The response came within minutes. "Hello, Meredith. I know who you are. Derek has told me about you. Yes, I think we need to talk." When and where? She knew about me. Derek had told his mistress about his wife. We agreed to meet at Millennium Park near the Bean, public place, neutral ground. Victoria was already there when I arrived. She looked exactly like her photos. Confident stride, perfect posture, eyes that met mine without flinching. "Meredith." "Yes, shall we sit?" We found a bench away from the tourists taking selfies with the sculpture. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Two women connected by the same man. "I know why you're here," Victoria said. "You want to know about my relationship with Derek?" "Yes. We've been seeing each other for 6 months. Since we were both laid off from the firm, we found ourselves in the same situation, unemployed, feeling useless, lost." She spoke calmly, as if discussing the weather. "We started meeting for coffee just to support each other, and then it became something more." Her frankness was almost insulting. She spoke about the affair like it was nothing, like she hadn't destroyed a 20-year marriage. "Did you know he was married?" "Yes, he told me from the beginning, but he also said there was no love left in your marriage, that you were just living together out of habit, that he wanted to leave you but didn't know how." Out of habit. That's how Derek described our marriage, a habit he wanted to break. "And you planned to be together," Victoria nodded. "Derek promised he would divorce you, that we would start a new life together. And the insurance, $750,000. Did he tell you about that?" For the first time, something flickered across her composed face. Uncertainty, maybe, or fear. What insurance? 6 months ago, we took out life insurance policies on each other. If one of us dies, the other gets $750. Convenient, isn't it? Especially if you want to start a new life but don't want to split assets in a divorce. Victoria's face went pale. "What are you saying?" 2 nights ago was my birthday. Derek prepared a special dinner, bought our favorite wine. But there was poison in my glass, barbiturates. If I had drunk it, I would be dead right now, or in a coma, but we switched glasses and Derek drank the poison instead. Victoria stared at me, her composure finally cracking. "That's impossible. Derek would never do that. He's not capable of murder." "Are you sure? Do you really know him that well?" She didn't answer. I could see doubt battling with loyalty in her eyes. "Where were you that night?" I asked suddenly. "When the poisoning happened?" "At home, alone." Her voice was defensive now. Why are you asking? Just checking all possibilities. Maybe it wasn't Derek who put the poison in the wine. Maybe it was someone else. Someone who wanted to get rid of a wife so she could have the husband to herself. Victoria jumped up from the bench. That's an insult. I would never do something like that. Yes, I'm having an affair with your husband. Yes, I'm not proud of it, but murder is insane. Then who? If it wasn't you, and it wasn't Derek who wanted me dead. I don't know, but I know it wasn't Derek. He loves you, you know, despite everything. He told me he felt guilty about falling in love with someone else, but he couldn't stop loving you too. Her words cut deep. Derek loved us both. How was that even possible? He's in the hospital, I said flatly. They're discharging him soon. If you want to visit, you can. Maybe he'll tell you more than he told me. I walked away, leaving Victoria standing in the park. I needed to get away from her words, from the reality of my shattered marriage. At home, I called Jazz. I needed someone to talk to, someone I could trust. Mary, how are you? I've been worried sick. I told her everything. The hospital, Derek's confession about losing his job and the loan, the coffee shop, Victoria. My God, Jazz breathed, an affair on top of everything else, on top of possible attempted murder. Do you think he did it? Really did it? I don't know anymore. Part of me still can't believe it, but all the evidence points to him. And this Victoria woman, she claims she had nothing to do with it, but she has motive too. If I'm dead, she gets Derek and the insurance money. Have you told the police about her? Not yet. I will tomorrow. Jazz was quiet for a moment. Mary, I'm coming over. You shouldn't be alone right now. You don't have to. I'm coming. She arrived an hour later with groceries and, ironically, a bottle of red wine. When she saw my face, she grimaced. Sorry, force of habit. It's fine. I just won't drink it. We sat in the kitchen while Jazz made a simple dinner. Salad, scrambled eggs, comfort food. You need to eat, she said, pushing a plate toward me. I ate mechanically, barely tasting anything. My mind was elsewhere. On Derek, on Victoria, on the poison that should have killed me. Mary, Jazz's voice cut through my thoughts. Tell me honestly, do you believe Derek is capable of this? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know. The Derek I married, no, absolutely not. But the Derek who's been lying to me for months, who's been having an affair, I don't know that person anymore. People do crazy things when they're desperate. Losing a job, falling into debt, feeling like a failure. It can push someone to dark places. But murder of the woman he claims to love. Jazz reached across the table and took my hand. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we know least. They show us what they want us to see, and we believe it because we want to. Her words echoed Detective Webb's. No one can be ruled out, not even the closest people. What should I do, Jazz? Let the police do their job. Let them investigate, and protect yourself. If Derek is released, don't be alone with him until you know the truth. He's staying somewhere else. I asked him to. Good, that's smart. We talked until late, but I barely slept that night. My dreams were filled with Derek, with Victoria, with wine glasses full of poison. In the morning, I called Detective Webb and told him about Victoria Ashford, about the affair, about her potential motive. We'll bring her in for questioning, he said. Check her alibi. Look into her background. Thank you. Mrs. Collins. There's something else. We got the lab results back on the wine samples you provided. My heart started pounding. The sample labeled mine contained a high concentration of phenobarbital, a barbiturate used as a sedative. At the dose in your glass combined with alcohol, it could have caused respiratory failure or death. And Derek's glass, clean, just wine. So it was true. The poison was only in my glass. Someone had deliberately tried to kill me. We've also been looking into your husband's finances, Webb continued. The information about the job loss and the loan checks out, and we found the coffee shop visits. Regular meetings with a woman named Victoria Ashford. I know. I met her yesterday. That gives your husband additional motive. Debt a mistress insurance money. It's a classic pattern. But he drank the poison himself. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe he didn't expect you to switch glasses. We're still investigating all possibilities." After hanging up, I sat on the couch trying to process everything. The evidence against Derek was mounting. But something still didn't feel right. If Derek had planned to kill me, why do it on my birthday? Why the elaborate romantic dinner? Why not something more subtle, less traceable? And why would he drink from my glass when I suggested switching? If he knew it was poisoned, wouldn't he have refused? Made some excuse? Unless he didn't know. Unless someone else had put the poison in the wine. But who? The question haunted me all day. I went through every possibility, every person who might want me dead, and I kept coming back to the same answer. I didn't have enemies. I didn't have people who wished me harm. My life was ordinary, unremarkable. Insurance underwriter, childless wife, regular woman living a regular life. Who would want to kill someone like me? That evening, my phone buzzed with an email notification. Unknown sender. No subject line. Normally, I would delete such messages as spam, but something made me open it. The text was short. "If you want to know the truth about what happened, meet me tomorrow at Millennium Park, 3 p.m., the bench near the South Garden. Come alone." I read it 3 times, my heart racing. Someone knew something. Someone wanted to tell me, or it was a trap. I forwarded the email to Detective Webb, then sat staring at my phone, weighing my options. Going to that meeting could be dangerous. The person who sent this could be the same person who tried to kill me. But staying home meant never knowing the truth. Living forever with questions and suspicions. Never being able to move on. I made my decision. I was going to that meeting. And I was going to find out who wanted me dead. Detective Webb called me back within an hour of receiving the forwarded email. "Mrs. Collins, I strongly advise against going to this meeting. We don't know who sent this message or what their intentions are." But what if they know something? What if this is the key to finding out who tried to kill me? It could also be a trap. Whoever poisoned your wine is still out there. This could be them trying to finish the job. I gripped the phone tighter. "Then come with me. Have officers nearby, but I need to go. I need to know." Webb was silent for a long moment. "All right. If you're determined to do this, we'll provide surveillance. Plainclothes officers in the area. If anything looks wrong, they'll intervene immediately." "Thank you." "Mrs. Collins, be careful. Don't take any unnecessary risks." I promised I would be careful, but the truth was I had stopped caring about risk the moment I realized someone wanted me dead. Fear had transformed into something harder, colder. Determination. I was going to find out who did this, no matter what it cost me. The next day, I arrived at Millennium Park 20 minutes early. I wanted to scout the area, see if anything looked suspicious. The park was busy with the usual mix of tourists and locals, families with strollers, joggers, business people on lunch breaks. I spotted a man reading a newspaper on a nearby bench, a woman pushing a stroller near the garden. Were they police? I couldn't tell. Maybe that was the point. At exactly 3 o'clock, I sat on the designated bench and waited. 5 minutes passed, then 10, 15. I started to think it was a hoax, some cruel joke by someone who wanted to torment me. I was about to leave when a woman approached. She was young, maybe mid-20s, wearing large sunglasses and a scarf wrapped around her head. She sat beside me without making eye contact. "Meredith Collins." "Yes. Are you the one who emailed me?" "Yes. Thank you for coming." "Who are you? What do you know?" The woman looked around nervously as if expecting someone to jump out at any moment. "My name is Callista. I worked at the architecture firm with your husband and Victoria Ashford. I know something you don't know, something that could change everything." My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear her over it. "Tell me." Callista finally turned to face me. Behind the sunglasses, I could sense fear. Victoria and Derek, their relationship isn't what it seems. It's not just a romance between 2 lonely people who found comfort in each other after losing their jobs. Then what is it? Victoria planned everything. The words hit me like a physical blow. "What do you mean, planned everything?" "She found out about your life insurance policies. I don't know how. Maybe she overheard a conversation. Maybe she saw documents at Derek's place, and she decided to use it." "Use it how?" She seduced Derek on purpose, made him fall in love with her, and then she started planting ideas in his head that his marriage was dead, that you didn't really love him, that the only way he could ever be truly happy was to be with her. I felt sick. She manipulated him. Yes, but that's not all. Callista lowered her voice even further. Derek didn't try to kill you, Meredith. Victoria did. The world stopped. What? The day of your birthday, Victoria went to your apartment. She knew Derek would be preparing dinner. She knew about your wine tradition. She showed up at your door, said she needed to pick up some documents Derek had forgotten at her place. He let her in. They talked for a few minutes at the entrance, then he went back to the kitchen. And Victoria, she stayed behind, supposedly to put on her shoes, but instead she went to the dining room where Derek had already poured the wine, and she put the barbiturates in your glass. I couldn't breathe. Victoria, not Derek. Victoria had tried to kill me. How do you know this? Callista's hands were shaking. Because she told me. We were friends, good friends, colleagues. She confided in me. The day before your birthday, she told me what she was going to do. I tried to stop her. I told her it was insane. But she wouldn't listen. She was obsessed with the idea of being with Derek, getting that money, starting a new life. And you didn't do anything. You didn't warn me. You didn't call the police. I didn't think she would actually do it. Callista's voice cracked. I thought it was just a fantasy, venting, emotions that would pass. But when I heard what happened, that your husband was hospitalized for poisoning, I knew. I knew she had really done it. Then why didn't you go to the police then? Because I was scared. If I told Victoria would know it was me, and I could be next. You don't understand what she's capable of. She's smart. She's ruthless. She doesn't let anything stand in her way. So why are you telling me now? Callista removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. Because I can't live with this anymore. I can't know that an innocent man might be blamed for something he didn't do. Your husband lied to you. He cheated on you. But he didn't try to kill you, Meredith. Victoria did. And you deserve to know the truth. I sat there trying to absorb everything. Victoria. The woman I had confronted in this very park just days ago. The woman who had looked me in the eyes and sworn she had nothing to do with the poisoning. She had lied. She had tried to murder me. And she had almost gotten away with it. Do you have any evidence? I finally asked. Anything that can prove what you're saying? Callista shook her head. No. She told me verbally. No recordings, no messages. She's too smart for that. Then it's just your word against hers. I know. That's why I was afraid to go to the police. Without evidence, they might not believe me. But I thought you should know. You have the right to know the truth. The man with the newspaper approached our bench. He was one of the plainclothes officers. Mrs. Collins, we heard everything. The conversation was recorded. Callista's face went pale. Recorded, but I didn't consent to that. In Illinois, only one party needs to consent to a recording, the officer said. Mrs. Collins consented when she agreed to cooperate with our surveillance. What does this mean? I asked. It means we have probable cause to bring in Victoria Ashford for questioning. Combined with this testimony and the forensic evidence, we may have enough for an arrest. Relief flooded through me, mixed with anger, mixed with grief for everything I had lost. Thank you, I said to Callista. I know this was hard for you. She nodded, her eyes still wet with tears. I'm sorry I didn't come forward sooner. I'm sorry you had to go through all this. You came forward now. That's what matters. The officer escorted Callista away to take a formal statement. I sat alone on the bench, watching the tourists photograph the bean, watching life continue as if nothing had happened. Derek was innocent, not of the affair, not of the lies, but of trying to kill me. Someone else had done that. Someone I had met, talked to, looked in the eyes, and now she was going to pay. Detective Webb called me that evening. We brought Victoria Ashford in for questioning. At first she denied everything, said Callista was lying, that she had nothing to do with the poisoning. And then we told her we had a witness, that we had recorded testimony, that we were going to search her computer and phone. She started to crack. Did she confess? Not immediately, but our tech team found something. She bought phenobarbital online from an illegal supplier. The correspondence was in her email. She thought she had deleted it, but nothing is ever really gone on the internet. My grip on the phone tightened. So it was really her. Yes, when we confronted her with the evidence, she broke down, confessed to everything, how she planned it, how she found out about the insurance, how she manipulated your husband, how she put the barbiturates in your wine. Why did she do it? She said Derek would never leave you willingly, that he was too attached to you despite their affair. She decided the only way to have him was to get rid of you, and the insurance money was a nice bonus. $750,000. That's what my life was worth to her. What happens now? She's been arrested, charged with attempted murder, given the premeditation and the evidence she's looking at 15 to 20 years, maybe more. 15 to 20 years. Justice. But it felt hollow somehow. Thank you, Detective, for everything. Just doing my job, Mrs. Collins, but I'm glad we got the right person. After I hung up, I sat in the dark apartment for a long time. Derek was innocent of trying to kill me, but he wasn't innocent of everything else. The lies, the affair, the months of deception. Could I forgive that? Did I even want to? I thought about calling him, telling him what I had learned, but I wasn't ready, not yet. Instead, I called Jazz. It was Victoria, I said. She's been arrested. She confessed. Oh my God, Mary, are you okay? I don't know. I think so. I feel relieved, I guess, that it wasn't Derek, that my husband didn't actually try to murder me. But he still cheated on you. Yes, he still did that. Jazz was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? I don't know. I need time to figure that out. Do you want me to come over? No, I think I need to be alone tonight, process everything. Okay, but call me if you need anything, anytime. I will. Thanks, Jazz. I went to bed, but sleep wouldn't come. I kept thinking about Victoria, about the calm way she had looked at me in the park, the way she had said Derek loved me despite everything. The whole time she knew. She knew she had tried to kill me, and she sat there and lied to my face. What kind of person does that? In the morning, I drove to the hotel where Derek was staying. He opened the door looking terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in days. Mary, what are you doing here? Can I come in? He stepped aside and I walked into the small room. A bed, a desk, a window overlooking the parking lot. This was where my husband lived now, this tiny impersonal space. The police called me, he said. They told me about Victoria, that she was the one who poisoned the wine. Yes. Derek sat heavily on the bed. I can't believe it. I trusted her. I thought she loved me, and the whole time she was planning to kill you. She manipulated you, Derek. That's what she does. But I let her. I was so wrapped up in my own problems, my own shame, that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. He looked up at me, his eyes wet. I'm sorry, Mary. I know those words are meaningless after everything, but I'm so sorry. I sat in the chair by the desk, the only other place to sit. Why did you do it, the affair? Why? Derek was silent for a long moment. When I lost my job, I felt like a failure. Like I had let you down, let myself down, let everyone down. I couldn't face you, couldn't tell you the truth. And Victoria was there. She made me feel like I still mattered, like I was still worth something. You could have talked to me. I'm your wife. I know, but I was ashamed. Too ashamed to admit I needed help. Too proud to be vulnerable with the one person I should have been able to be vulnerable with. He wiped his eyes. There's no excuse. I know that. What I did was wrong. Unforgivable. Do you love her? The question hung in the air between us. I thought I did. But looking back now, I realize it wasn't love. It was escape. A way to run from my problems instead of facing them. He met my eyes. I love you, Mary. I have always loved you. Even when I was lying to you, even when I was with her, some part of me knew that you were the only one who really mattered. I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me was too hurt to care. The police said I'm not a suspect anymore, Derek continued, that I'm free to come home, but I told them I would wait, that it wasn't my decision to make. No, it's mine. Yes. I stood up and walked to the window. The parking lot was half empty. A maid was pushing a cart between the rooms. I don't know if I can trust you again, I said without turning around. I don't know if I can ever look at you without thinking about what you did. I understand. But I also don't want to make a decision right now. Not while everything is still so raw. I need time. Take all the time you need. I'll wait, however long it takes. I turned back to face him. This man I had loved for 20 years. This stranger who had lied to me for months. Go back to the apartment, I said. To the guest room. We'll live separately under the same roof while we figure things out. Can you do that? Yes, whatever you need. And we're going to therapy. Both of us, together and separately. If there's any chance of saving this marriage, we need help. I'll find a therapist today. I nodded and walked to the door. Before I left, I turned back one more time. Derek, if you ever lie to me again about anything, we're done. No second chances, no explanations, just done. I understand. I promise you, Mary, no more lies, no more secrets. Everything from now on is the truth. I wanted to believe him. I desperately wanted to believe him. But trust once shattered takes a long time to rebuild. The weeks that followed were strange. Derek moved back into the apartment, into the guest room as we agreed. We saw each other in the mornings and the evenings, passing each other in the hallway like polite strangers. We started therapy, individual sessions and couples sessions, talking about things we had never talked about before. The pain, the fear, the resentment that had built up over years without either of us realizing. Some days were better than others. Some days I looked at Derek and saw the man I had fallen in love with. Other days I looked at him and saw only betrayal. Victoria's trial was set for the spring. The prosecutor called me as a witness. I would have to face her again in a courtroom and tell the world what she had done to me. I wasn't looking forward to it, but I wasn't afraid either. She had tried to destroy my life. She had failed, and now she was going to pay the price. 3 months after the poisoning, I was starting to feel almost normal again. Derek and I were making progress slowly. We had dinner together sometimes, watched movies on the couch, started to remember why we had fallen in love in the first place. But I had learned not to take anything for granted, not to assume that the worst was behind me. And it's a good thing I had learned that lesson, because one Thursday afternoon, there was a knock on our door. I opened it to find a woman I had never seen before, about my age, short dark hair, piercing gray eyes. Meredith Collins. Yes. My name is Simone Hayes. I'm sorry to show up like this, but there's something you need to know. And she paused, took a breath. It's about your husband. Something he's hidden from you for a very long time. I felt the familiar chill run down my spine, the same feeling I had gotten when I first smelled the wine. What are you talking about? Simone looked past me into the apartment. Is Derek home? He's in his study. Then I think we should all talk together. What I have to say concerns both of you. I led her to the living room and called for Derek. He came out of his study, froze when he saw Simone. What are you doing here? You know her, I asked. Derek's face had gone white, the same white it had gone the night of the poisoning. Mary, I can explain. Simone sat down on the armchair, her posture calm, but her eyes intense. I've kept your secret for 15 years, Derek. I can't do it anymore. What secret? I looked between them. What is she talking about? Derek sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. Simone turned to me. Derek has a daughter. She's 15 years old, and I'm her mother. The words didn't make sense at first. They bounced around in my head like foreign objects that didn't belong. A daughter. Derek had a daughter. A 15-year-old daughter with another woman, which meant she was born 4 years after we got married, when we were trying to have children, when I was blaming myself for being infertile, when I was going through test after test, treatment after treatment, and all that time he already had a child with someone else. Is it true? My voice came out as a whisper. Derek looked up at me. Tears were streaming down his face. Yes, It's true. 15 years. I could barely breathe. For 15 years, you've had a daughter you never told me about. I know. I know I should have told you, but I was scared. Scared you would leave. Scared I would lose everything. So you just kept it secret. Let me think we couldn't have children while you had one all along. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Derek? Explain it to me, because I really don't understand. Simone spoke up. We met at a project 15 years ago. I was an interior designer. He was the architect. We had an affair. Short. Meaningless, or so I thought. When I found out I was pregnant, I told him. He offered me money for an abortion. I refused. I wanted the child. And you kept it secret all this time? Yes, Derek paid child support. Visited occasionally. But I agreed never to tell you, never to disrupt his marriage. I looked at Derek. You paid her off to stay silent. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? He had no answer. Simone leaned forward. I'm not here to cause trouble, Meredith. I know I have no right to ask anything from you, but I have no choice anymore. What do you mean? Our daughter. Her name is Lily. She's sick, very sick. She needs heart surgery. Without it, she won't live more than a year. The operation costs $75,000. I don't have that kind of money. Derek doesn't either, not with the debt you're already carrying. She looked at me with desperation in her eyes. I know about your insurance policies. I know you have significant coverage. I'm not asking for everything. But if you could help even partially, Lily could live. She's innocent in all of this. She didn't choose to be born from an affair. She's just a child who wants to live. I stared at this woman who had destroyed what little trust I had managed to rebuild, who had revealed yet another layer of lies and betrayal, and she was asking me for money to save her daughter. Derek's daughter. A child I never knew existed. Get out, I said. Meredith, please. Get out of my home, both of you, now. Derek stood up. Mary, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But Lily is innocent. She's just a kid. Please don't punish her for my mistakes. Your mistakes? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what you call them, mistakes? You've been lying to me for 15 years, Derek. Our entire marriage has been built on lies. And now you want me to pay for the consequences. I know it's a lot to ask. It's not a lot. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I walked to the door and opened it wide. Leave. Now. I need to think. Simone stood up, her face a mask of resignation. I understand. I'm sorry for springing this on you. Truly I am. She handed me a card with her phone number and walked out. Derek hesitated at the door. Mary, I love you. Despite everything, I love you. And I understand if you can't forgive me. But please don't let Lily suffer because of what I've done. Go, Derek. Stay at the hotel. Don't come back until I call you. He left, and I closed the door behind him. Then I sank to the floor and cried. I cried for the marriage I thought I had, for the trust I had tried to rebuild, for the lies that kept piling up layer after layer until I couldn't see the truth anymore. I cried for myself, for the woman who had believed in love, in loyalty, in the promises we made to each other 20 years ago. And when the tears finally stopped, something had changed inside me. The Meredith who had woken up on her 44th birthday believing in her happy marriage was gone. In her place was someone harder, someone who had learned that the people closest to you could also be the ones who hurt you most. I didn't know what I was going to do about Derek, about Simone, about a 15-year-old girl I had never met, but I knew one thing for certain. I was done being lied to. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch in the dark apartment, staring at nothing, thinking about everything. 15 years. Derek had kept a secret from me for 15 years. An entire child. A whole other life I knew nothing about. All those years when I blamed myself for not being able to get pregnant. All those tests, those treatments, those monthly disappointments that felt like failures. And he knew. He knew he could have children because he already had one. Did he watch me cry after every negative test and feel nothing? Did he hold me when the doctor said we should consider other options and think about his daughter growing up somewhere else? I didn't know this man. I had never known him. Around 3 in the morning, I called Jazz. She answered on the second ring, her voice groggy but alert. "Mary, what's wrong?" "Everything. Everything is wrong." I told her about Simone, about Lily, about the 15 years of lies. She listened in silence, occasionally making sounds of disbelief. "My God, Mary, that's beyond anything I could have imagined." "I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to divorce him tomorrow and never see his face again. But there's this child, this sick child who needs surgery." "That's not your responsibility." "I know it's not, but she's innocent. She didn't ask to be born from an affair. She didn't ask to be kept secret. And now she might die because of something she had no control over." "Mary, listen to me." Jazz's voice was firm. "You have been through hell these past months. Someone tried to kill you. Your husband lied to you about everything. You owe nothing to anyone, certainly not to his love child." "I know. But," I sighed, "but I keep thinking about her. A 15-year-old girl in a hospital bed waiting to find out if she'll live or die. What kind of person would I be if I could help and didn't? A normal person. A person who has been hurt and betrayed and has every right to protect herself." "Maybe. But is that the person I want to be?" Jazz was quiet for a long moment. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet. I need to think. I need to see her." "See who? The girl?" "Yes. Before I make any decision, I need to see her. I need to know who she is." The next morning I called Simone. "I want to see Lily." There was a pause on the other end. "You do. Before I decide anything, I need to meet her. Can you arrange that?" "Yes, of course. She's at Northwestern Memorial, the cardiology unit. I can meet you there this afternoon." "Fine. 2 o'clock. I hung up before she could say anything else. I wasn't ready for gratitude or explanations. I just needed to see this girl, this child who had upended everything I thought I knew. Northwestern Memorial was busy when I arrived. Nurses rushing through corridors, families huddled in waiting areas, the smell of antiseptic and fear that all hospitals share. Simone was waiting for me at the entrance to the cardiology unit. "Thank you for coming." I didn't respond, just nodded, and followed her through the doors. Lily's room was at the end of the hall. Through the window, I could see a girl lying in bed connected to monitors and IV drips. Even from a distance, she looked fragile, small. "She knows you're coming," Simone said. "I told her this morning." "What did you tell her about me?" "The truth. That you're her father's wife. That I came to you for help. That you wanted to meet her before making a decision." "And how did she react?" Simone's eyes glistened. "She said she understood. That she wouldn't blame you if you said no. That she was grateful you even considered it." 15 years old and already so mature. Already so understanding of adult complications she should never have had to know. I took a deep breath and walked into the room. Lily looked up when I entered, and my breath caught in my throat. She looked exactly like Derek. The same brown eyes, the same shape of face, the same gentle curve of the mouth. It was like looking at a young feminine version of my husband. "Hi." Her voice was soft, weak. "You must be Meredith." "Yes." I sat in the chair beside her bed. "And you're Lily." "That's me." And she tried to smile, but I could see the effort it cost her. "I've heard a lot about you. From your mother. From Dad, too. He talks about you sometimes, when he visits." She looked down at her hands, thin and pale against the white hospital sheets. "I know this is weird. The whole situation, I'm sorry." "You have nothing to apologize for." "I know, but still, I feel like I've caused trouble just by existing." The words hit me harder than I expected. This child had spent her whole life feeling like a secret, a complication, something to be hidden. "Tell me about yourself," I said. "Not about the illness, about you. Who is Lily Hayes?" Her face brightened slightly. "I'm a sophomore at Lincoln Park High. I like art and biology, which is a weird combination, I know. I want to be a medical illustrator someday, drawing pictures for textbooks and research papers. I have a cat named Picasso. He's orange and fat, and I miss him. He can't visit you here. No pets allowed. She made a face. Mom sends me pictures, though. We talked for almost an hour. About school, about her friends, about the books she liked to read and the shows she watched. She was smart, funny, kind, easy to talk to in a way that felt natural, unforced. And she was dying. I could see it in the monitors tracking her heart, in the blue tinge around her lips, in the way she got breathless after speaking too long. The doctors say I need the surgery soon, she said during a pause in our conversation. Within the next 2 months or it'll be too late, something about the damage becoming irreversible. And the surgery will fix it. They say I have a good chance, 80% survival rate. Those are pretty good odds, right? She smiled, but I could see the fear beneath it. I try not to think about the other 20%. 15 years old and talking about her odds of survival like she was discussing the weather. Lily, can I ask you something? Sure. How do you feel about your father, about Derek? She considered the question carefully. I don't really know him, to be honest. He's more like an uncle who visits sometimes than a dad. He comes on my birthday, Christmas, brings presents, asks about school. But he's not really part of my life, you know. He has his life with you. I have mine with Mom. Does that bother you? It used to. When I was younger, I used to wonder why I couldn't have a normal family like other kids, why my dad lived somewhere else with someone else. But Mom explained it to me when I was about 10, that he was married when I was born, that he loved you and couldn't leave you. She said he loved me. Yeah. She said that was why things were the way they were, because he loved you too much to give you up even for me. Lily looked at me with those brown eyes so like Derek's. I don't blame him, or you. It's just how things are. I felt tears prickling at my eyes. This child, this innocent child caught in the middle of adult mistakes, and she had found a way to accept it without bitterness. Lily, I need to go, but I'll come back, I promise. You don't have to promise anything. I know, but I want to. I left the hospital feeling like a different person than when I arrived. Simone was waiting in the hallway. Thank you for seeing her. She's remarkable. I know. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Simone's voice cracked. I can't lose her, Meredith. I can't. I need time to think. This is a big decision. I understand. Take all the time you need. No, that's not what I mean. I took a deep breath. I'm going to help. I'll pay for the surgery. Simone stared at me, disbelief written across her face. What? I said, I'll pay for it. $75,000, right? I'll take out a loan against my share of the apartment. It'll take a few days to arrange, but I'll do it. Meredith, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. I'm not doing it for you or for Derek. I'm doing it for Lily. Because she's a child who deserves to live. Because she shouldn't have to pay for the mistakes of the adults around her. Whatever the reason, you're saving her life. Maybe. I hope so. I turned and walked away, leaving Simone standing in the hospital corridor. I didn't look back. That evening I called Derek. Mary, what's happening? Have you decided anything? I'm paying for Lily's surgery. Silence. Then, what? You heard me. I'm taking out a loan. I'll cover the $75,000. Mary, I don't know what to say. That's incredibly generous. It's not generous. It's just the right thing to do. But Derek, I need you to understand something. What? I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this to save our marriage or because I've forgiven you. I'm doing this because a 15-year-old girl is dying and I have the ability to help. That's all. I understand. Do you? Because I'm still trying to figure out what happens next with us. Meeting Lily, seeing what kind of person she is, it doesn't change what you did. The lies, the affair, Victoria, all of it. I know. But it does change how I think about things, about what matters, about what kind of person I want to be. What does that mean? I sat down on the couch, suddenly exhausted. I spent the last few months consumed with anger and betrayal, and I had every right to be. But today, sitting with Lily, I realized something. Holding on to all that pain, it's not hurting you. It's hurting me. Mary, let me finish. I'm not saying I forgive you. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive you, but I'm saying I want to try to move forward. Not for you, for me, because I don't want to spend the rest of my life being bitter and angry. Does that mean you want to work on our marriage? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe it means we end things, but we do it without hatred. I honestly don't know yet. But I know I can't figure it out while we're living in the same apartment, walking on eggshells around each other. What do you suggest? I think we should separate for a while. Really separate. You get your own place. I stay here. We continue therapy, but individually. Take some time to figure out who we are outside of this marriage. And then in a few months we see where we are. If we want to try again. If we want to let go. But we make that decision clearly, honestly, without the pressure of pretending everything is okay when it's not. Derek was quiet for a long moment. Okay. If that's what you need, I'll do it. It is. Mary, I love you. I know I've said it before, and it probably sounds hollow after everything. But I do. I always have. I know you believe that, Derek. I just don't know anymore what your love means. We hung up and I sat in the silence of the apartment. It felt different now. Not empty, but open. Like a space waiting to be filled with something new. The loan went through faster than I expected. Jazz had connections at a bank and she helped me expedite the paperwork. Within a week, I had the money. I delivered the check to the hospital myself. The administrator looked surprised when she saw the amount. This will cover the surgery and post-operative care entirely. Ms. Hayes, Lily's mother, she asked me to tell you that the surgery is scheduled for next Tuesday. Good. That's good. Will you be here for the surgery? I hadn't thought about it. Did I want to be there? Did I have the right to be there? I don't know. Maybe. On Tuesday, I found myself in the waiting room of Northwestern Memorial's surgical wing. I hadn't planned to come. I had told myself it wasn't my place, but something drew me there, some need to see this through to the end. Simone was already there, pacing back and forth. Derek was sitting in a chair, his head in his hands. They both looked up when I walked in. Meredith, Simone's voice was thick with emotion. You came. I wanted to make sure everything went well. I sat down across from Derek, not next to him. We waited in silence as the hours passed. 1 hour, 2, 3, 4. The surgery was supposed to take 5 to 6 hours. Every minute felt like an eternity. Around hour 5, Derek spoke for the first time. I've been thinking about what you said, about separating. Now isn't the time, Derek. I know, but I want you to know I agree. It's the right thing. We both need space to figure out who we are. Okay. And I want you to know something else. Whatever happens between us, whatever you decide, I will never be able to thank you enough for what you did for Lily. You didn't have to. You had every reason not to. But you did it anyway. She's just a child. I know. But most people wouldn't see it that way. Most people would have let their anger win. I didn't respond. What was there to say? At hour 6, a surgeon came through the doors. We all jumped to our feet. Family of Lily Hayes. Yes. Simone's voice was barely a whisper. How is she? The surgeon smiled. The surgery was successful. We repaired the defect completely. She's in recovery now, doing well. She'll need several weeks of rest and rehabilitation, but I expect her to make a full recovery. Simone burst into tears. Derek embraced her, both of them sobbing with relief. I stood apart, watching, feeling something I couldn't quite name. Relief, yes. Joy that Lily would live. But also a strange sense of closure, like a chapter of my life was ending, and I didn't know yet what the next one would look like. When Lily woke up, they let us see her one at a time. Simone went first, then Derek. I hung back, not sure if I should go in, but Lily asked for me. She wants to see you, Simone said, wiping her eyes. She specifically asked. I walked into the recovery room. Lily was pale, groggy, connected to even more machines than before. But her eyes were open, and she smiled when she saw me. You came? Of course I came. Mom told me what you did. The money for the surgery. Tears leaked from the corners of her eyes. Thank you. Thank you for saving my life. I took her hand, thin and weak but warm. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You didn't have to help me. After everything my dad did, you had every reason to hate me. But you didn't. I could never hate you, Lily. None of this is your fault. I know, but still. She squeezed my hand weakly. I hope someday, if you want, we can be friends. Not like a mom or anything. Just friends. Friends with my husband's secret daughter. A few months ago, the idea would have seemed absurd, impossible. But now, looking at this brave girl who had faced death with more grace than most adults, it didn't seem absurd at all. I'd like that, I said. Lily's recovery was slow but steady. I visited her in the hospital several times over the following weeks. We talked about books and art and her dreams for the future. She showed me her drawings, medical illustrations she had been working on even while sick. They were good, really good. Somehow, without planning it, I found myself looking forward to those visits. Looking forward to seeing her face light up when I walked in. Looking forward to our conversations that had nothing to do with Derek or Simone or any of the adult drama. "You've changed," Jazz observed during one of our weekly dinners. "What do you mean? You seem lighter somehow, less weighed down." "I've been spending time with Lily." "The daughter?" Jazz raised an eyebrow. "I thought you'd want to stay as far away from that situation as possible." "I thought so too, but she's different. She's not part of the mess her parents made. She's just a kid who wants to live her life." "And Derek?" "We're officially separated. He has an apartment on the other side of the city. We talk sometimes, but not about getting back together, just about practical things, the loan payments, therapy updates, that kind of thing." "Do you think you'll ever get back together?" I considered the question. A month ago, I would have said, no, never, absolutely not. But now I wasn't so sure. I don't know, maybe, or maybe not. I'm trying not to think about it too much, just taking things one day at a time. That's very zen of you. I've had a lot of therapy. We both laughed, and it felt good. Normal. Like maybe, just maybe, I was finding my way back to myself. Victoria's trial happened in the spring as scheduled. I testified about the night of the poisoning, about switching the glasses, about the strange smell that had saved my life. The prosecutor was thorough, methodical, devastating. Victoria sat at the defense table looking smaller than I remembered, diminished. When they read the verdict, guilty on all counts, she didn't react, just stared straight ahead, empty. I thought I would feel satisfaction, vindication. But all I felt was tired of the whole ordeal, ready for it to be over. She was sentenced to 18 years. I didn't attend the sentencing hearing. I had already moved on. 6 months after my 44th birthday, I met with Derek at a coffee shop near his new apartment. Not the daily grind. Somewhere neutral, somewhere without memories. "I wanted to talk about us," he said. "About what happens next." "What do you want to happen next?" "I want whatever you want, Mary. If you want to try again, I'm here. If you want to finalize the divorce, I'll understand. But I need to know. The uncertainty is killing me." I looked at this man across from me, the man I had loved for 20 years. The man who had lied to me, betrayed me, hurt me in ways I never thought possible. But also the man who had held me when I cried, who had made me laugh, who had been my partner through good times and bad. "I've been thinking about it a lot," I said. "About us, about what we had, about what we lost. And I realized something. The Derek I married, the Derek I fell in love with, he doesn't exist anymore. Maybe he never did. Maybe he was always someone you pretended to be." Derek's face fell. "Mary, let me finish." I took a deep breath. "But I've also realized that the Mary who married you doesn't exist anymore either. I've changed. We've both changed, and I don't think we can go back to what we were. So that's it. We're done." I think so. But not with anger, not with hatred, just with acceptance that what we had is over. Derek was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. "I understand, and I accept it. But I want you to know, Mary, the years we had together, they weren't all fake. I really did love you. I still do. I know, and part of me still loves you too. But love isn't always enough, is it?" "No, I guess it's not." We sat in silence, Two people who had shared a life together now saying goodbye. "What will you do?" he asked. "I don't know. Keep working. Keep going to therapy. Keep visiting Lily." I smiled slightly. "Maybe take up painting. I always wanted to learn." "You'll be good at it. You're good at everything you set your mind to." "Thanks, Derek." We stood up, and for a moment I thought he might try to hug me, but he just extended his hand, and I shook it. "Goodbye, Mary." "Goodbye, Derek." I walked out of the coffee shop and into the Chicago spring. The air was warm, the trees were blooming, and somewhere in a rehabilitation center on the other side of the city, a 15-year-old girl was getting stronger every day. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. We sold the apartment, paid off the loan, split what was left equally. It wasn't much, but it was enough for each of us to start over. Derek moved to a smaller place near Simone and Lily. Not to be with Simone romantically, but to be closer to his daughter. To finally be the father he should have been all along. I rented a studio apartment in a neighborhood I had always loved but never lived in. Decorated it myself, made it mine. And slowly, day by day, I began to build a new life. I enrolled in painting classes at the community center, made new friends, started hiking on weekends, something I had never done before but discovered I loved. I visited Lily regularly, watched her grow stronger, healthier, more vibrant. She started high school again, caught up on the work she had missed. Her drawings got better and better. She had real talent. "I got into the summer art program at SAIC," she told me one afternoon. "They only accept 20 students a year." "Lily, that's amazing. Congratulations." "I couldn't have done it without you, without everything. You did this yourself. All I did was give you the chance." "That's everything, Meredith. That's literally everything." I hugged her, this girl who had started as a stranger and become something like family. Not a daughter, not a stepdaughter. Something else entirely. Something new. And I realized standing there in her hospital room turned art studio that forgiveness wasn't about the other person. It wasn't about condoning what they had done or forgetting the pain they had caused. Forgiveness was about freeing yourself. Letting go of the weight you had been carrying so you could finally move forward. I had forgiven Derek, not for him, for me. And in doing so, I had found something I didn't even know I was looking for. Peace. A year passed, then another. Time has a way of healing wounds you thought would never close. It doesn't erase them completely. The scars remain faint reminders of what you survived. But the sharp pain dulls into something manageable. Something you can carry without breaking. My 46th birthday came on a Tuesday. I celebrated it alone by choice. A quiet dinner at a restaurant I had discovered after the divorce. A glass of wine, not Cabernet, something lighter, something without memories attached. A slice of chocolate cake with a single candle. I made a wish, not for love or money or success, just for peace. For more days like this one, where I could sit alone and feel content rather than lonely. The wish came true faster than I expected. His name was James, Jim to his friends. I met him at my painting class of all places. He was 52, a high school history teacher divorced with 2 grown children. He had kind eyes and a gentle laugh, and absolutely no artistic talent whatsoever. "That's supposed to be a sunset," I asked, looking at his canvas during our 3rd class together. He squinted at his work. I was going for abstract expressionism. "It looks like a traffic accident." He laughed, full and genuine, and something stirred in my chest, something I hadn't felt in a very long time. "I'm Jim," he said, extending a paint-stained hand. "Meredith, Mary." "Well, Mary, since we've established that I'm hopeless at this, would you like to get coffee after class and tell me how terrible I am in more detail?" I should have said no. I wasn't ready for anything. I was still healing, still rebuilding, still figuring out who I was outside of the marriage that had defined me for 2 decades. But something about his smile made me say yes. Coffee turned into dinner the following week. Dinner turned into a movie. The movie turned into long walks along the lakefront, talking about everything and nothing. Jim was different from Derek in every way. Where Derek had been ambitious and driven, Jim was content with his life as it was. Where Derek had been charming and smooth, Jim was awkward and honest and completely incapable of hiding his feelings. "I like you," he told me on our 4th date, blushing like a teenager. I know that's forward, and I know you've been through a lot, but I wanted you to know. How do you know I've been through a lot? Because everyone our age has been through a lot. And because sometimes when you think no one's looking, you get this faraway look in your eyes, like you're remembering something painful. I didn't know what to say to that. No one had ever seen me so clearly. I like you too, I finally admitted. But I need to take things slow. I'm not ready for anything serious. That's fine. I'm not going anywhere. And he wasn't. Week after week, month after month, Jim was there, patient, understanding, never pushing, never demanding, just present. I told him about Derek eventually, about the poisoning, the affair, the secret daughter. He listened without judgment, without offering solutions or opinions, just listened. That's a lot to survive, he said when I finished. It was. But you did survive it. You're still here. Still standing. Barely. No. He took my hand across the table. Not barely. Strongly. What you went through would have destroyed most people, but you came out the other side. That takes courage. Or stubbornness. Maybe both. I introduced Jim to Lily a few months later. I was nervous about it, more nervous than I had been about anything in a long time. Lily's opinion mattered to me. Somewhere along the way, this girl had become important to my life. We met at a cafe near Lily's school. She was 17 now, healthy and vibrant, nothing like the pale girl I had met in the hospital bed. She bounded in with energy, her art portfolio tucked under her arm. "You must be Jim," she said, sliding into the booth across from us. "Meredith talks about you constantly." "I do not." "You do. She said you're terrible at painting." Jim laughed. "That's accurate." "She also said you make her happy." I felt my face flush. "Lily." "What?" "It's true." She looked at Jim with an appraising eye. "So what are your intentions toward my sort of stepmother figure?" "Lily." Jim didn't miss a beat. "My intentions are to keep making her laugh, to be there when she needs me, and to never ever try to cook for her because I'm even worse in the kitchen than I am with a paintbrush." Lily grinned. "I approve." After that, the three of us fell into a rhythm. Sunday brunches when our schedules allowed, trips to the Art Institute where Lily would explain paintings to us with passionate expertise, holiday dinners where Jim would burn the turkey and we would order Chinese food instead. It wasn't the family I had imagined when I was younger. It wasn't the traditional picture I had once wanted so badly, but it was real. It was mine. Derek remarried the following year, not to Simone, surprisingly, but to a woman he met at a support group for unemployed professionals. I heard about it through Lily. "Mom says it's weird," Lily told me, "that Dad moved on so fast." "How do you feel about it?" "I don't know. Happy for him, I guess. He seems different now, more present, like he's actually trying to be part of my life instead of just showing up with presents." "That's good." "Yeah." She was quiet for a moment. "Meredith, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Do you ever regret it, helping me, paying for my surgery?" I looked at this young woman who had become such an important part of my world, the daughter I never had, the family I never expected. Never, not for a single moment. Even though it was my dad's money, your money, even though you had every reason to hate us. "Lily, listen to me." I took her hands in mine. "What your father did was wrong. The lies, the secrets, all of it. But you were never part of that. You were innocent. And saving your life was not about him or me or our marriage. It was about you, a young girl who deserved a chance to live. I would make the same choice 1,000 times over." Tears welled in her eyes. "I love you, you know, like a second mom, or a really cool aunt, or something. I don't know what to call it." "You don't have to call it anything. Just know that I love you too." She hugged me then tight and fierce, and I felt something in my heart that I had thought was gone forever. Hope, joy, the belief that good things could still happen even after everything. Jim proposed on my 48th birthday, not with a ring or grand gesture, just a quiet dinner at home in the apartment that had become ours over the past year. He cooked burning the salmon only slightly, and we laughed about his culinary disasters. After dinner, he took my hand. "Mary, I need to tell you something." My heart jumped. After everything I had been through, those words still triggered a spike of fear. "What is it?" "I love you. I know I've said it before, but I want to make sure you really understand. I love who you are. I love your strength and your kindness and the way you laugh at my terrible cooking. I love how you are with Lily, how you opened your heart to her when you had every reason to close it forever." "Jim, let me finish." He took a deep breath. "I know you've been hurt. I know trust doesn't come easy for you anymore. And I know I can't promise that I'll never make mistakes or never disappoint you. I'm human. I'll mess up. Everyone messes up. But I can promise you this. I will never lie to you. I will never hide things from you. I will never make you question whether what we have is real, because it is real, Mary. It's the realest thing I've ever known." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "I'm not asking you to forget your past. I'm asking you to share your future. Will you marry me?" I looked at this man who had come into my life when I least expected it, who had been patient when I pushed him away, who had seen my scars and loved me anyway. "Yes," I said. "Yes, I'll marry you." We got married in a small ceremony at the Art Institute in front of Lily's favorite painting. Jazz was my maid of honor. Jim's children flew in from California. Even Derek sent a card wishing us well. It was nothing like my first wedding. No grand venue, no 300 guests, no extravagant dress or 5-tier cake, just two people who had found each other later in life promising to face whatever came next together. And it was perfect. The years that followed were quiet in the best way. Jim retired from teaching and took up woodworking, filling our apartment with handmade furniture that was charming, if not entirely level. I continued painting, eventually selling a few pieces at local art fairs. Lily graduated from art school top of her class. She got a job as a medical illustrator at Northwestern, the same hospital where she had her surgery. Her drawings appeared in textbooks, in research papers, in medical journals around the world. "I never would have had this," she told me at her graduation party, "any of this, without you. You would have found a way." "Maybe, but you gave me the chance. You gave me everything." I watched her move through the crowd, confident and healthy and alive. This girl who had started as my husband's secret shame and become one of the most important people in my life. Forgiveness, I had learned, wasn't a single decision. It was a practice, something you chose every day, sometimes every hour. Some days it came easy, other days you had to fight for it, but it was always worth it. Because holding on to anger was like carrying a boulder on your back. You could do it for a while. You could convince yourself it was making you stronger, but eventually it would crush you. Letting go didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean what happened was okay. It just meant choosing to put down the boulder, choosing yourself over the pain. On my 52nd birthday, Lily called with news. "I'm engaged." "What to who? When did this happen?" "His name is Marcus. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon at the hospital. We've been dating for 2 years." 2 years, and you didn't tell me. I wanted to be sure. After everything with Dad and Mom and you, I wanted to make sure it was real before I said anything. I understood that. The fear of letting people in, the need to protect yourself. "Tell me about him." She did for almost an hour. How they met, their first date. The way he looked at her like she was the most important person in the room. The way he listened when she talked about her art, really listened, even though he didn't understand half of it. "He sounds wonderful." He is. And Meredith, I want you to be there. At the wedding. Not just as a guest. I want you to have a role. "What kind of role?" "I want you to walk me down the aisle. With my dad." I was silent, overwhelmed by what she was asking. "I know it's weird," she continued quickly. "I know you and Dad don't really talk anymore, but you've both been important in my life. You saved my life literally, and I want that represented on the most important day of my life." "Have you asked Derek?" "Yes. He said yes, but he also said it was your decision, that if you weren't comfortable, he would understand." I thought about it, walking down the aisle next to the man who had betrayed me, the man I had loved and lost and forgiven. Standing together to give away the daughter who wasn't mine, but somehow was. Yes, I said, I would be honored. The wedding was in June at a garden venue outside the city. Lily was radiant in a simple white dress she had designed herself. Marcus looked at her like she hung the moon. I stood in the holding room with Derek waiting for our cue. It was the first time we had been alone together in years. "She looks beautiful," he said. "She does. I still can't believe this is happening, that she's getting married, that she's alive." His voice cracked. "Because of you. Because of good doctors and luck and her own will to live. And you. Don't downplay what you did, Mary. I've never been able to thank you properly." "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do." He turned to face me. "You had every reason to let her die, every reason to walk away and never look back. But you didn't. You saved her, and in doing so, you saved me too." "I didn't do it for you." "I know. That's what makes it so remarkable." He smiled, and for a moment I saw the man I had married, the man who had been charming and funny and impossibly handsome, the man who had broken my heart. "I'm happy for you, by the way," he said. "Jim seems like a good man." "He is." "Better than me?" I considered the question. "Different. He's different from you." "That's diplomatic." "It's true. You and Jim are nothing alike. But that's okay. I'm nothing like the woman I was when I married you either." The music started. Our cue. Derek offered his arm. I took it. And together we walked our daughter down the aisle. Lily was crying by the time we reached Marcus. Happy tears, the best kind. We each kissed her cheek, shook Marcus's hand, and took our seats on opposite sides of the aisle. During the ceremony, I found Jim's hand and held it tight. He squeezed back, understanding without words what this moment meant. This was not the life I had imagined when I was young. Not the marriage, not the family, not any of it. It was better. Because it was real. Because it was earned. Because it was built not on illusions, but on truth, however painful that truth had been. At the reception, Lily pulled me onto the dance floor for a slow song. "Thank you," she whispered in my ear. "For what? For being here. For walking me down the aisle. For everything over the past 10 years. Has it really been 10 years? Almost 11 since the surgery. 11 years. It felt like a lifetime. It felt like yesterday. "Can I tell you something?" Lily continued. "Of course." When I was 15, lying in that hospital bed, I made myself a promise. I promised that if I survived, I would live a life worth living. I would be kind. I would help people. I would never take a single day for granted. And have you kept that promise? I've tried. Every day I've tried. She pulled back to look at me. But the reason I've been able to keep it is because of you, because you showed me what it looks like, what it means to choose kindness when you have every reason to choose anger, to choose forgiveness when you have every reason to choose revenge. Lily, I mean it. You taught me more about being a good person than anyone else in my life, not through lectures or lessons, just by being who you are. I didn't have words, so I just held her tighter as we swayed to the music. Later that night, after the cake was cut and the bouquet was thrown and the happy couple drove off to start their honeymoon, I stood outside the venue, looking up at the stars. Jim came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything. Nothing. Life." "That's very philosophical." "I'm in a philosophical mood." He rested his chin on my shoulder. "Want to share?" I thought about it. How to put into words the journey I had been on, the birthday that had started it all, the poisoned wine, the lies and betrayal and pain, the choice to help a child who wasn't mine, the love I had found when I wasn't looking. I was thinking about how different life is from what I expected, I finally said. When I was young, I had this picture in my head of how things would go, the perfect marriage, the children, the house with the white picket fence, and for a long time I thought I had failed because my life didn't look like that picture. And now I realize the picture was never the point. Life isn't about matching some image you created when you were too young to know anything. It's about the unexpected, the detours, the people you meet along the way who change everything. Like a 15-year-old girl in a hospital bed. Like her. Like you. I turned in his arms to face him, like everyone who came into my life when I least expected it and taught me something I needed to learn. What did I teach you? That it's never too late, that second chances are real, that you can lose everything and still find something worth living for. Jim kissed me soft and sweet. For what it's worth, he said, I think your life turned out pretty good. Yeah, I think so too. We stood there for a while longer, holding each other under the stars. I thought about the woman I had been on my 44th birthday, the woman who believed her marriage was perfect, the woman who didn't know that everything was about to fall apart. I didn't miss her. Not exactly. But I was grateful for her, for the pain she had endured, for the choices she had made, for the courage she had found when she needed it most. Because without her, I wouldn't be here, standing in the warm June night, surrounded by people I loved, living a life that was messy and complicated and absolutely undeniably beautiful. The story that began with poisoned wine didn't end with tragedy. It ended with transformation, with healing, with a love that was stronger because it had been tested. And if there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Life will break you. It will shatter every illusion you hold dear. It will force you to your knees and make you question everything you thought you knew. But you will survive it. You will rise. You will find strength you didn't know you had and love you didn't know you deserved. The pain is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning. My name is Meredith Collins. On my 44th birthday, my husband served me my favorite wine. It smelled wrong. When I switched the glasses, I saved my own life. But the real salvation came later, in the choice to forgive, in the courage to start over, in the unexpected family I built from the ashes of the one I lost. I am proof that it is never too late to begin again.